Okay. A dynamite delight, baby. Okay, before we get started though, I do have something I gotta say first. And this is directed towards one person, and this is not a bad thing. It's actually thanking them. Because it's really nice what they said. Because if anyone saw my NXT review, there was one person who left a comment there saying, dude, I just found your content. And it's really good. I'm very thankful that he even said that, or she said that. But you get no views and no likes. There's something wrong. And then they left a second comment and said, I just looked at your content and it's nice, but you don't really have any traction in your channel. And I think he said, you're not doing anything with the SEO or the SEO. I can't remember which one it is. Oh yeah, the SEO, that the search engine optimization. I did look it up. And you should try and do something to get it done, because doing that will give you more traction. Now, I want to say this to this person, and I'm saying it because it really does mean a lot to me that someone cares that much to say that. It's not all the time people do it. But if you've seen my channel for a while and you've only seen it briefly, I'm not like an ordinary podcaster. And I'm not saying I don't want more views. It'd be nice. But I'm cool right now with what I'm doing. If you don't know, I came on here because of depression and anxiety. I don't say it often. I do tell people when I have an issue, because they'll notice the way I'm acting certain ways, because either I'll start really botching a lot or I'll begin to forget things. It happens. And I'm not telling you what you said is wrong. No. And I'm thankful you said it, because honestly, I didn't know anything about the algorithm and how to optimize it. I never really looked it up. But as I left in comment, I'll think about it. But I care more about making sure I have good mental health than actually getting more views or more likes. That's one thing you would learn about me if you're watching my content long enough. I care more about making sure I'm mentally stable and not freaked out all the time than actually making sure I get more people looking at my content and I get more anxiety. If it happens out of the blue, I start getting a lot of numbers, I'll have to deal with it. But at this moment, I'm not trying to push it, because lately I have been through a lot of stress and I don't want to hurt myself. So thank you. I'll leave a comment if you leave another comment on this video. But thank you, but I have to be sure that I'm mentally stable enough to do it, because I do have depression and anxiety. I don't want to stress myself out. I have to think about my health. But if things change and I start getting huge amounts of numbers, that's great. I'll just have to be careful, but I'm not trying to push. Okay, let's move on. I already talked for 3 minutes. Sorry, everybody. I had to do it. I care about you guys, that if you're going to leave a comment, I'm going to respond to it either in the comment section below, or I'm going to say it. I don't care about anyone else, how they do it. I'm not like everybody else. I'm straight. That's the type of person I am. But what do we get here in this show? This show was a lot of short-term matches with very few building into Full Gear. It doesn't mean there's not anything there, but it's just not that much built into it. But I will tell you, Joe is one I'm going to be focusing on. As you can see from the title, did they focus on Joe? Joe is what I'm going to talk about at the end of this review. But I am going to go through these matches very quickly, because there wasn't much behind them, mostly because they're not really long-term going into Full Gear or beyond. Okay, MJF versus Daniel Garcia. Now, we barely got any information at all before he took the match. And then at the beginning of the show, when he was talking with Tony Schiavone and Daddy Magic and Parker came out with Garcia, he finally says why he's doing it. Because yes, Danny did get the win over, who was it, Trent. And he called out MJF. And MJF made it very clear, you remind me of me when I was younger. And essentially speaking, that's what this all premise was about. This should have been the main event. But as you know what happened with Mark and Jay, we didn't have that. So we get this in the opening, which I felt was wrong. And I still believe it's wrong. This should have been the main event, because it would have helped Danny Garcia to get more of a shine again, because he did very well when he was working with Bryan Danielson, when he was having the show with MJF. they can do something with him, and I felt he could have been at the main event of this, but they chose not to. We got a decent match. We did. It was a good, decent match. It was for me personally, the best match of the night when it came to wrestling, but like the second best match under the story that MJF is having, because Garcia was an afterthought. So we did get this, and what did we get? Let me give it to you in this respect. After it was over, and seeing that Garcia was going to get a chance to shake MJF hands, because yes, we know MJF, we know our scumbag. We know that he's going to screw around. Sportsmanship! Boink! Of course he did it, but in this situation, he did put his hand out and says, are you going to be what they want? Are you going to keep doing the sports entertainment where you can be a real wrestler? And you can see the spit coming from MJF because he was really getting into it. That's one thing I will say about MJF. When he's feeling it, he don't care if he got spit in his mouth. He don't care if he looks crazed. He's going to show you every bit of emotion you want. That is the way he is. When he says a generational talent, he actually is. He is one of the best talkers and one hell of a good wrestler with a very good fundamentals when it comes to being a ring general. He is that good at his age. At 26, 27 now. Is he 27? He's roughly about the same, oh my gosh. He's almost about the same age as my son is. Or he is the same age as my son. Is he born in 97? He's about roughly the same age as my son. Yeah, I have a kid. He's almost 30. If I don't look that old, I'm lucky. But I'm sure I look like an old ass man. But seeing that is great. That's just the deal, and it's great to see it. Now, let's move on. And it was 13 minutes, by the way. They took 5 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes for the talk, and maybe about 14 minutes or 13 minutes, or was it 15 minutes for the match. Now, we got Penta versus Strickland. Now, this is also a story that's going on because of what Strickland did going in, invading Adam Page's home. But this, putting Penta there, and let me give it to you like this. There was no build for it. There was nothing behind it. I would have understood more if A.R. Fox had gone after Swerve and said, what you did, I cannot believe. You messed me up and then you do it, Adam Page? I know Adam Page. How dare you? But it was Penta who had to do it. Out of nowhere. Well, this is what happened last week when it came to A.R. Fox. They had nothing behind it. Zero behind it. They could have done something. You could have set up that Hangman Page knows A.R. Fox in some form in the last couple of months or a year or more. And could have done something with that. So when A.R. Fox just appeared out of nowhere in a random match, it would make sense because A.R. Fox is friends with Hangman Page. And seeing his friend be like that, that would make more sense and would have built into the story. This, Penta got kids. Hangman Page got kids. Let's do the match. I didn't expect Penta to win, of course. But seeing that Hangman Page was barred from even being in the building until the match was over, I had a feeling he was going to come back, and he did. He came back after the match was over, when Strickland was enjoying what he was doing, trying to take the mask off of Penta, and basically gets nailed in the back, and then put through a table with a a dead eye? I believe he did a dead eye, onto a table and nailed him flat. Am I glad to see that? No. I wish he had not done the dead eye, because I would have liked him just to hit him with a couple of chair shots and be screaming with not guards, but security grabbing him saying, we're going to kill you. That would have been better than seeing Strickland get nailed and flattened. And I think that would have been better. Seeing Strickland run the way he did would have been better to see him than getting nailed so easily with chair shots and then a dead eye. I'm not agreeing with that. But am I saying the story is wrong? No. Seeing how it got started was fine. Seeing how it's progressed, I wish he had taken Hangman Page's kid. That would have been better than just going in there, pulling something there for his kid, and then leaving. No. That's just me. Next, we got the Guns versus the Bollywood Boys. Let me say that again. The Guns versus the Bollywood Boys. I haven't seen them in so long. I've forgotten they existed. When they used to work with, Jinder Mahal. I barely cared about them, but I believe they were working with Jinder Mahal. Jinder, my mistake. Haven't seen him in a long time either. But seeing them was like, oh shit, I haven't seen them in so long. And, didn't last very long, they got destroyed. And the talk afterward, do I believe was done correctly? Wasn't bad. They're making it very clear. They want the damn titles from MJF. They want the ROH titles, which pretty much, I'm going to say this now. I don't need to do a gut report on why ROH should end. Well, maybe I should. Maybe I should make a gut report on ROH. They're not treating it like a developmental, so maybe I should do a gut report on how to end ROH. Maybe I should. You know what? They made it very clear they just want MJF's titles because they're the true generational talent and he is not. There you go. Next, someone I haven't seen in a very long while. Again, someone who just came back from getting married. I believe she's been gone for a couple of months. She just recently came back, and that's Julia Hart. I don't know who she married, though. I didn't check. But supposedly, Julia's married. Happy for her. There's nothing wrong with being a married man or woman. As a guy who used to be married, I'm divorced. I can easily say there's the dark side of marriage, but there's also the light side of marriage. And her getting married hopefully will work out. And I'm making it very clear as someone who's been married, who's been in the dark side of it, that didn't work out, and who's seen also how marriages between pro wrestlers end, because a lot of times they don't always work out. Look, I just found out that Tessa Blanchard is no longer married to Daga. If you didn't know, Daga used to work in Impact Wrestling with Tessa. And after she was fired, Daga left, had been working around, and now Daga is no longer with her. Because if the rumor is correct, and I'm not saying it is, Tessa cheated on him. And also, Tessa is no longer with AAA because Daga's with AAA, and Conan did not want to because he did speak about it in his own podcast. He did not want to have both of them together because he didn't want to upset Daga. Because she was causing trouble. He didn't want to deal with it. So he said, girl, bye. So seeing that she's married, I hope it works. But here's Red Velvet, who's been gone for 9 months because of her injury. I think it was an ACL injury. So she's been out for 9 months. She just came back. And now one of the problems she's having, because if you watch the match, which wasn't 100% good, and it was mostly to Red Velvet, because even though she managed to train and get back into shape to a certain extent, she just came back, and now she's on TV, and she made a mistake. The mistake was she's wearing full pants. Before, she was wearing shorts. And in this situation, she should have been wearing shorts. Because when you have a knee brace, one of the major issues you're going to have if you don't find a way to attach it to your pants is you're going to have to find a way to keep it from moving. Because having really tight pants like that are like silky or spandexy, the knee brace is going to slide down. And that was the major issue she had. And I do believe after seeing this, she's going to have to reevaluate how she's going to wear her ring attire. Because if she's got to wear a brace for an ACL injury that she got surgically repaired, she's going to have to change her ring attire or find a way to get that knee brace to stick on those pants. There's a good possibility maybe she'll put some type of Velcro on it. That might be the best thing. Velcro might be the best thing that could be attached to her pants, which will make it easier, but it also is a little dangerous because it could pull her pants down and that ass will show out. But taking away from that, even though she did botch a bit because she's trying to readjust her knee brace, which they did cover Excalibur and what? Was it Tony or was it Taz? I think it was Taz. Made it very clear she's having a problem with those ring attire because when you have clothes like that, the brace slides down. That's what happened. She lost, of course, got into a submission after she lost, and then what did we get? We got Sky Blue coming out, we got Statlander coming out, and we got pretty much a Willow Nightingale trying to help out a Red Velvet. But here's where it gets interesting, at least enough. Next to a Toni Storm, which I'll talk about in a moment with Hiro Kushida, Sky Blue is the only one so far that next to a Julia Hart, who had to go into a faction to actually become something, she's now at least somewhat interesting. And understand, I like Sky Blue. I saw her back in NWA when I first saw her. I've seen her here. She did do something, I think once in Impact. I think once. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, which I probably am. I'm probably wrong about her going to Impact once. I think she did once. Where Lady Frost literally was there for a while, got injured, and then worse yet, they had nothing for her once she recovered from an injury. I think she was injured. Was she injured? Or they just didn't have anything for her. I think she might have gotten injured, and then she tried to come back, but then they had no idea what to do with her. She stayed home for a whole bunch of months, and then they just released her. Now you understand why I'm worried about Impact Wrestling when it turned to TNA. But at least I will say whether she's interesting now, either dealing with Julia Hart or Chris Statlander. Because at this point, Chris Statlander's boring. I'm sorry. Her coming back cold, and that's me. Everybody else was excited to see Chris Statlander back. But instead of putting the TBS title on somebody else than Jade, because it was made for Jade, they just threw it on Chris Statlander, who had no build. Having her come back is one thing, but within the same day, you let her win the damn title? I'm sorry. No. I am not for Chris. Not because I don't like her, it's just she had no build when she came back. Moving on. And the last match is Mark Briscoe versus Jay White. If Jay loses, he loses his shot against AMJF. Here's where it gets interesting. Jay, fine. But when it comes to Mark just coming back in the second match after being gone for several months, I kind of wished he had won, to be honest. I'm not going to lie about this. Am I interested in... I'm botching here because I don't hate Jay White. But he just is boring. Not because he can't pull off a character or he isn't trying his hardest to make the story mean something. But when they threw him on it, it just doesn't feel like he's supposed to fit there. I feel more like Joe would be more interesting. Or maybe a Garcia. Or in this case, a Mark Briscoe, who should have been pushed last year, but before he got hurt. And now, here, I'm just like, could be more. But in the end, he won. I'm not surprised. And then, here's where the stupid... MJF acted like a stupid face. Beating up on the rest of Bullet Club, putting on the Dynamite Diamond ring, charges at a Jay White where he knows he's going to run out of the ring. And then he does this promo I thought was well done. He made it very clear that he doesn't care about nothing other than getting that title back. He promised himself he's going to be the best champion that ever was when he got it. And he said, you can keep running all you want, but I'm coming for you because of one reason only. Because you don't stand a chance against me. Because I am MJF. I am their scumbag. And for the first time in my life, and I know I'm not talking in sequence, but for the first time in my life, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for all of them. I'm doing it for Adam, my best friend, and people at home. And they all cheered for him. At least what people have been coming to the arenas, which we know the arena attendance has gone from here, has been dropping. Now, of course, it's football, baseball, basketball, and all that other stuff, but ain't good. And last but not least, we get the Acclaim destroyed. We get Caster got his ass kicked. And then we got Bowman thrown literally through a glass window that was all the way from his feet to his head, straight through it. MJF sees it, runs to the back. And he's going, what the fuck? What is going on? And then again, we see the person in the mask. Was this done well? Yes, it's working with the main storyline because that's what this is about. The champion is going through a lot of stuff. And this is the main story. But here's the thing. I love MJF. The story he's doing is not 100% trash, but due to the fact there is no CM Punk on the damn show, they should have focused him on Dynamite and have someone else on Collision to focus. There isn't one. So when you throw MJF, who needs to be focused on the main show, Dynamite, and throw him around from Dynamite to Collision, Dynamite to Rampage, Dynamite to Collision, back and forth, and then you put him with Jay White, it's not a strong story, even though we still don't know who's under the mask. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I don't know who it could be. It could be Bobby Fish as far as I'm concerned. Oh my gosh. What would happen if it was Bobby Fish? What would happen if that's Bobby Fish? Oh my gosh. If that was Bobby Fish, and I'm not saying it is, that would be so bad. A lot of people would not be happy that it's not Punk. Because a lot of people want him to be Punk. And if it was Bobby Fish, not saying it's Adam Cole. It could be Adam Cole. It could be Bobby Fish. But I'm telling you right now, if it's Bobby, people are going to get really mad. But this story just doesn't have anything there. But this story does. Joe versus Keith Lee. And the thing that got me mad was, why wouldn't you try to build these two up together? Keith Lee has been in ROH, as far as I know. And I would have loved to see them both go at each other. They never faced each other as far as anyone knew. And you could have built this into Full Gear. It's on the 18th. You couldn't build up into it? And I'm going like, is it the 18th, I think? Of Full Gear? I think so. But, dude, I wanted to see that. Two big-ass men trying to go at each other. But they decided to do this right now. And I didn't expect Keith to win. I mean, they haven't done a lot with Keith. So seeing him go up against Joe was actually something I would have liked to seen with a build. And it wasn't a bad match either. They did a pretty damn good job together as two really big guys. And Keith Lee is not as fast as Samoa Joe is. And understand, Keith is at least 330, 340. Joe is at least 320, 330. They're both big-ass men. But Joe won. And I'm going, well, here's another match with ROH on it, where a lot of people saying get rid of ROH. Like I said earlier about my gut report, maybe I should do a video on should and how should they get rid of ROH. But then we get Joe relinquishing, in other words, not relinquishing, vacating his title. He's got the longest run of anyone, 19 months. 540 days, I think? The longest reign in history. And then he drops the title. He doesn't care about it anymore. The only thing he wants is the AEW World Championship. And throughout the night, along with Adam Cole in the very opening of the show, trying to say, MJF, you got to work with Joe. You need backup. I can't be there. He knows Joe. Adam Cole knows Joe because he worked with him in ROH. He knows. So even though he wants the title and MJF does not want to do it, he at least knew. And then Joe came to him right after the Acclaimed, and Bowman went straight through the window, which was bigger than him. And he said, well, it looks like you need some help. And he walks away. Are they really going to focus on Joe? Is this where they should go? To be honest, yes. Guys, let's make this clear. I'm not going to make this too long. What do we have here? Legitimately, we have no one on Collision. No one. And they need someone on Collision. If there's no CM Punk, who is the next ROH legend? It's Joe. I don't know about anyone else, but the best thing is to let Joe become prominent. Joe to be meaning something. And then by next year, give Joe a title. The straight edge title doesn't exist. The real world's title doesn't exist because Punk is gone. But they need to do something for Collision. They need to make Collision about Joe. Are they going to focus on Joe for Collision? If this is the build for Joe to go into Full Gear, and there'll be some squirrely and swerve type of win where he should have won. He should have the title, but they fucked him over, and he needs a title. And then, out of the blue, guess what? The Real World's title with the straight edge on it is around somewhere. He sees it, picks it up, and takes it to Collision. I think would be the best option to do. I don't know about anybody else, but this is me. At this point, they need to do something with Collision. They need a prominent figure there. They need to make AEW mean something. MJF is being spread across all the shows and is not helping. I'm sorry. Since they're not booking correctly, because look at what we got. Majority of this show. And look at Sheeta. Look at my timeless Tony Storm. I know I didn't say it earlier, but I'm putting it in here now. Was that segment good? I loved it. Black and white, seeing Hida Kushida, telling what is wrong with you? You used to be a great champion. You said, oh, of course I was. And this is Tony Storm clinching her beads, her invisible beads. But you ruined that. You're the third-time champ, not me, but I'm going to get you. And Sheeta's making it very clear. When we get the Full Gear, I will show you I am the true champion. You're nothing. And she says, all right. Well, since you're going to be like this, I will tell you what they like to say in Hollywood. Chin up, tits out, and get ready for my posing, whatever else it is. That is one of the best things I've seen. Their first true homegrown star in a Tony Storm. They need more. And if they don't get someone on Collision, and they can't make it about Tony Storm, because they're not building her to be the one that Collision's going to be built around, they must make Joe important. Having him drop the title, going after MJF, by Full Gear, they do a screwy ending that he should have won, did win, but then gets screwed over. He says that's a damn cheat. Again, he gets screwed, but then all of a sudden the the real championship title appears out of nowhere. He grabs it, goes to Collision, and said, as long as I'm on Collision with this, no one's better than me. And he defended exactly like he did with the ROH television title. At least then it'll be something more. That's what we need. But it's just me. Peace.